Good afternoon, I'm Steve Chapman, Operations Section Chief for the Picket incident. There's been a lot of good work that has been done. There's still a lot of work to be done. Starting at the southern end of the fire, north of the community of Calistoga, crews have gotten in there, down here on this corner here, crews have gotten in there and got direct hand line all along Division Bravo up into Hotel on the left flank of the fire, meaning they removed all the vegetation from the fire's edge down to bare mineral soil. They've gotten that in. Now we're trying to get some depth and come off of that line, working our way interior. We mentioned the heli-spot a couple of days ago. That's still a pivotal point to our operation, getting crews and logistical support in there. Just to give you kind of an idea, we've talked about rough, steep, rugged terrain. It's at least an hour and a half to 2 hour hike in from those crews from where they can park to getting the crews to the line. So that's kind of the terrain that we're dealing with and the time frames. It takes time for people to get in there and then time for people to get the lines in. And now that we have the control lines in along the fire perimeter here, now we're going to start working our way interior, ensuring that all the cool material along the fire's edge, all the burning stumps, all of the root balls, they're all turned over, they're all cool. Up on the north end of the fire, everything in there also has direct hand line in there, so meaning we're down to bare mineral soil all along that area with the fire perimeter. Again, cooling all of the stumps. We're able to work our way interior off the north side of the fire too, getting some of those smokes that are off the line. There's a lot of heavy dead and down that are in there. We're in the burn footprint from the glass fire in 2020. So a lot of that fuel that was in there dead and down previous to this incident is in there now consuming. So now we're having to go in there. All that readily available fuel is now burning. So a lot of that heavy stuff that's been in there, now we're having to go in there, mop it up, cool it to ensure that none of that stuff crosses our control lines that we have in place. Up on the Etna Springs area on the north end of the fire, where we've been getting crews in where we had the fire cross one of our control lines. That has now been contained. That control line is in place and the crews are in there mopping it up. There's still a lot of heat in and around that area along the fire's edge. Crews are hitting that, cooling that, and making their way around. Down on the right flank of the fire in Division Papa, again, that steep, rugged country, we're worried about rollout and the potential for any burning material that's within the fire perimeter, meaning it's uphill, up slope of where our control lines are. Any of that material rolling down into the unburned fuel and it potentially creating the fire, causing the fire to cross our containment lines. Crews are in there. They're utilizing a method of adding cup trenches at the bottom of our control lines it's a little divot for the material to fall into. Should it cross the control line, it would hopefully be caught up in there. On top of that, we're utilizing T-posts and chicken wire or fencing along our control lines to kind of catch any of that material to prevent any of that rollout. That area in there is very steep and very rugged. Down on the southern end of the fire, we have containment and control lines in there as well. You know, when it gets steep and rugged, one of the issues that we have is bulldozers can't get in there to cut our line and remove that burning vegetation down in there. So when bulldozers can't get in there because it's too steep, we utilize hand crews. And with that, hand crews, the production rates slow down. We still get production, but it's not as fast as the bulldozers are. And then with that also is followed up by a hose lay. So that way the hose lays, which we have in on the southern end of the southern portion of the fire, putting those hose lays in on the control lines allows our firefighters to get in there and start mopping up a little bit more interior. That's the point that we're at now on our southern end. We still have a large potential and there still is a threat. However, now that we're cooling the edges, we're able to start making our way to go interior. There's still a lot of work to be done by our ground troops, as well as we're utilizing all available air assets to be able to cool some of that stuff that's more interior in the rugged areas up throughout much of the fire where we can't have the hose lays just because our engines can't pump them. The air assets are able to drop water on hot spots, but we have to follow those up with ground troops to be able to stir up those burning stumps, burning material that's in there. And it's kind of a correlation and a collaboration between both air and ground resources to kind of get in there and keep that area nice and cool. Thank you.